Hey guys, I'm just going to go through and show you what I'm after for your animation and how to do it fairly easily. So I'm just going to do this in Google Drive, but it's exactly the same if you're doing it in PowerPoint. Okay, so first of all, I just want to clean up a bit of this space. Hiding, and oh, I've already got speaker notes off. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is title our work. So inside the computer animation, if I just call it that. It's always good to have your name next to in there as well in the title, so we know whose it is. All right, now I've got my page, and the first thing I want to do is put my background on here. So my background is going to be the background of the computer, the inside of a computer. So when I go into my image search and I do search the web here, I'm just going to type up here behind my picture. Inside the computer. Okay. It's going to give me lots of suggestions about what it looks like inside the computer. Some of these are interesting, some of them are small components, the CPU and things like that. Then we've got ones like this that do look good, but if I just make that a bit bigger so you can see it, for what we want that bird's eye view, so that top down view of what the computer looks like, okay, inside. So we're looking for a nice flat, I think there might have been a good one up here further, something maybe like this one that's going to show us all of the components inside the computer, and we can see all of them there. So I might just select insert on that one and have a look at how that's looking on there. So what I can do, whoops, I don't want to stretch it out like that. I just want to zoom in a little bit and just make sure I can see. We've got the fan, we've got another fan here. It looks like in under this section here might be where our CPU is. We've got our batteries, our clocks there. That must be the power supply, I would be thinking. We've got disk drives over here. Okay, these are the slots for some RAM chips in these long slots here. Maybe even some more graphics cards or wireless network cards, and they all clip into those there, like this one has here. Okay, I reckon I can work with that image. So what I'm going to do is center it on the page horizontally and vertically. So I know that now is centered on my page. I can zoom back out so I can see it, and I'm happy with that. Now, I don't want that white background. So I'm going to just click on my slide and go to backgrounds, and I'm going to choose a color that's complementary. Actually, I might even grab this eyedropper and, oops, where'd it go? Background color. It's not going to let me. Okay, so maybe it's picked it up already. So I might use that color there. Okay, and that will do for my background. It's not going to work. Where are we? Here. Okay, let's just figure this out for a second. Okay, so I know it's going wrong here, so I needed to open my little Colorzilla extension here and pick a colour, and then I get to pick the colour that I want, page colour picker, and you can see up the top there I've got a colour, and I think I might go with maybe that colour. So what I need is the hex code there. Where did that go? That colour picker. So hex code there, and then when I go back into my background, I can customize and paste that hex code in, and that there is the exact colour that I wanted. And I like that because it ties in the theme of the background with the motherboard in the clip, in the image. Okay, I think I might also just come back to this picture and just crop it down a little bit because I don't need a lot of that background stuff that's going on there. So if I just crop it down, I know it's not going to be perfect, but roughly to the edge of the piece there. Actually, I might leave that top one there because that is actually showing us that that's the front of the PC there. So it's just trimmed it down and made it a little bit neater. And let's just go center this on the page again. All right, so that way I know it's centered. Now, the reason I spend so much time on this first slide is because I want to make sure this is right. So when I start my work, I can just keep duplicating this first slide. Now, before I show you how to make this animation, I just want you to, I want to show you a couple of pieces of work from some other students. So first of all, this one. Okay, and whoops. All right, where are we? So, yeah, this one here, and if I just play this, you can see that they've done the arrow and it's moving around. So it's red as it's going in for the input, moving its way around the inside of the computer, and it actually doesn't finish off and exit that one. This one is another one. If I just go back to the very start of this one, you can see this one's extremely long. Okay, and if I just play this one through, I'm just playing this by pressing the arrow key on my keyboard. You can see we've got some tags. Okay, so that CPU is actually just above it where it goes to in a moment. We've got some specific bits of information as we get through, so showing a little bit more knowledge and understanding. This is our CPU here, and the data obviously moves around in there and does some things, and then we have our output. And you can see over here that's 191 slides just for that little animation, and if we were to play that, that would only take just a few seconds. Okay, and this one here is another fairly large, it seems fairly large, but if we play this one through again, we've got some tags, bits of information, and whoop, if we go back a bit there, so this person has spent some time doing some research and really showing their knowledge by it, and using the sidebars there to explain that as they go through. Again, you can see it's the same base of or internal parts of the computer, and we have the output explained there. Okay, so all of those are some really good examples of how to create your animation. So the first things you need to do, first thing you need to do is identify where on your computer the inputs might be coming from. Okay, so that could be a USB port where your mouse or computer, keyboard might plug into, or a USB dongle. It might be that you have input from a disk drive of some sort. So it might be you playing a movie on a DVD in the disk drive or something like that, and you need to make sure that you understand where that input is coming from. Okay, so for me on this one, I'm going to say it's coming from this card here. So, say this is a graphics card, and what I would do is on my toolbar up here, I'm going to grab an arrow because I'm just trying to make this nice and simple. And whoops, if I hold shift down, I can make that arrow straight. Okay, it's a bit hard to see, so I'm going to make it nice and bright, nice and thick. Whoop, maybe a little bit too big there. Maybe take it back to a 4. Okay, I want that arrowhead to be a bit more in proportion, so we'll squash it down a bit like that. Now, if I want to change that arrowhead and just have an outline, something like that, happy to do any of those different things that you can do. I might change it to this one. And simply to make your animation, for those of you who've never done this before, we start on our first slide, okay? And we might put in here input from graphics card, okay? And obviously I'm going to have to make that a bit smaller, maybe move that up, bit of background contrast there. Let's give it a light coloured fill, and whoops, that's not what I want to do. This one, a bit of, let's go over here to the white and a bit transparent so we can still see the green behind it, but it's not, and it's not completely washed out there. Okay, so there's my graphics input from my graphics card. Okay, and the next thing I need to do is right click on the slide and duplicate it. And that's made exactly the same thing. And all I'm going to do is just carefully click on my mouse, my arrow, because that's all I want, and using my arrow keys on my keyboard, just one position forward. Then duplicate and go again. Click on the arrow, one position forward. Keep doing that and just keep going one position forward each and every time. And I'm just going to pause this while I do a bit more, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, so I'm going to come back to you now, and I'm just going to show you what I've done. Now, I've created 25 slides now, and I want you to see why it's so important just to make small moves each time. So if I play this, it looks like that arrow is moving nice and smoothly across that graphics card there. Okay, if I was to duplicate a whole heap of slides and then move that arrow one by one, it certainly would not look as smooth as what I've got here. You can also see that I took input from graphics card out as it skips along. So I got to slide 10, thought I don't need that there because I've already got that information, but I have left it there for a significant number of slides just because of how long that would take to play. And as my arrow continues to move across that card, it's nice and smooth, it's even. I'm just using my arrow keys on my keyboard to make it move through. So that's a really easy way to make your animation. And that's what I'm after you to do for your task. Now, while you've got your arrow moving around, you need to also make sure that you are clear on what components these are, so little labels to tell me what the different components are, what their purpose is would be another good idea. And once the data has come in to the computer, it's done the processing part of it that we've been looking at, and then there's some sort of output. So if this is a picture that's come through from, I don't know, a USB or something like that, and it's gone through the graphics card, it's going to do what once it's gone through that graphics card. So it's going to display on the screen. Okay, so there we have an input, we have a process through our CPU, our central processing unit, and then once that process has happened, we have an output. So that's the result. What happens after we have that processing factor happen? Okay, it might be that it comes out an output of another USB or a connection going to a monitor or the screen or something. So this would have an external monitor, unlike our laptops that have a little cord that goes from the base up to the screen. Okay, so keep duplicating. Like I said, right click, duplicate the slide, click on your arrow. Oops, make sure you've got just your arrow selected. One button press on your keyboard to move it along. If once you want to start changing it, you can duplicate the slide, and maybe I want to very carefully start turning it, so I can do that too. And what that's going to look like is, if I just go back here along, and you can see it's just started to angle off and turn for me to make it go around that corner. All right, I hope this is helpful. I hope this is going to allow you to make your own animation. There's no time length on the animation, but I do need you to show me the full process. Okay, once you've done it, submit it onto Daymap inside the PC and CPU assessment task, and then that's it for this semester. This term with all of your work. Okay, so I hope you enjoy that. I hope you challenge yourself, and I'm looking forward to watching some great little animations. See you next time. Bye.